Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Sam and I are happy to welcome winning head football coach at CHS, Sam.
Oh, yeah, what a fun night the other night. I tell you what, I told somebody afterwards, the best Connersville football game I've ever witnessed.
Adam Kelly, welcome to TV3.
Well, thanks for having me.
And for the 1000th time, probably a congratulations.
Oh, thank you. The kids did all the work.
Okay.
They put in a lot of effort to prepare for that game, so they deserve all the credit.
22-16 in overtime yet.
Yes, and the best thing for me as a coach is to see us be resilient. In years past, and you guys have seen it for decades, a team typically from Connersville gets down by a score or two scores,
yes,
and things aren't going right, and we had some penalties against us, and we had a turnover, and typically things go south from there, and our guys were able to rally and respond. And so that, as a from a coaching standpoint, that was the best thing to see.
Sure.
From that standpoint.
Richmond's a tough team to play, and especially tough on their home field.
They are, and they've got a lot of beautiful looking, a lot of good looking athletes that are tremendously gifted. I think that they're what they're calling a transition period in terms of a new coaching staff coming in and doing things a little bit differently. So I think as they move through the season, they will get better. But we also think that as we move through the season, we will get better.
Sam, what impressed you about these young guys?
Well, I just their never give up attitude. Late in the first half, there was a long pass, and I forget who the receiver was now, but he bobbled it going down, and his time run out, and he wasn't able to score. But I just felt like the kids, as they left the field, watching them, that kind of picked them up a little bit. But I don't know, down 16 at halftime and come back and tie it in the third quarter, and 2-point conversions both times. Young Adam Kelly ran it in. It was fun to watch, and made you proud to be a Spartan.
22 unanswered points. That's quite an achievement, Adam.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But we felt like the first quarter, our first drive in the first quarter, we were driving down, and then we turned that turnover on the play where we turned the ball over. Should he have been able to secure that ball in his belly, he was going to the end zone. There was nothing close to stopping him there, and that would have put us up. You could have, would have, could have, should have, all over the place for every game. But we really feel like we left a lot of stuff out there. And in fact, while I'm sitting here, our players we're re-dissecting that game with our players right now. We're starting to look at Franklin County and focus on that. But there were so many things that we could have handled better that we're going back through, and we're focusing on what we did or didn't do. More so, I think, than what Franklin County. We know what we're going to see from Franklin County in terms of defensively, how they're going to set up and those types of things. So we're really looking at what we need to do in order to improve our game.
But you and your staff must be happy, though. That was the first ball game of the season.
Well, we're very excited. We feel we've throughout the summer we've been pretty excited about this group of young men because of the way they play the game, and it's the enthusiasm they have. They play for each other. They care about each other. They're accountable to one another. And we've had that in pockets throughout the last 4 or 5 years, but never, not as a whole. And this group as a whole, from the youngest freshman all the way to the most experienced senior, they all feel like they're really part of what we're doing, and that's pretty special.
You caused Richmond several penalties, especially. Got these guys to jump off sides. How many times?
Well, they self-inflicted a few wounds with their false starts, and again, they had 3 or 4 of those. I think the penalty count that I saw in the paper, what was it, 8-4 or something like that. So we had some that hurt us, and they had some that hurt them. We drove them off on a 3rd and 8, and I think it got us to a 3rd and 3, and we were able to convert for a first down, and we mixed up the snap count a little bit. In order to kind of slow them down because they were starting to tee off coming at us full speed. So I thought our players did well adjusting to some of the things we asked them to do.
How big was that block punt there late in the game?
Oh, that was huge. Yeah. And the block field goal and the tip punt and our special teams, our return game was solid. Our kickoff game was solid. You know, their return, they're right around 10 yards per return. They had one that was decent on a punt that went for 6, but other than that, we were able to contain those athletes and get them down pretty quick. So our special teams and our defense was amazing. They were a fun group to watch. They were flying around the field. They were aggressive. The contact they were making was clean and good contact. So the defense was an impressive unit all night.
Right from the opening minutes of the game,
Yeah.
I thought if this continues, we're going to be successful.
Yeah, and they went for it on their first drive, 4th and whatever, from their side of the 50, and it was 4th and 3 or something like that. And our inside linebackers, you know, they smacked them in the mouth, and that, you know, we took over there and we picked up a first down. Then we turned the ball over. So, but yeah, the defense was definitely an impressive unit.
Talk about the philosophy of a ground game. I know you're a coach that says the ground game is the way to go.
I believe that. Now, if we had 4 or 5 wide receivers that were, you know, had a lot of speed and good hands and a quarterback that could sit back there and pick apart a defense, then, you know, obviously we would go to the passing game. But year in and year out, Connorsville is not going to have the type of kids where we can do that. We may have a great quarterback, but are we going to find 4 or 5 guys that are going to be able to catch the ball consistently? Or we may have 4 or 5 guys that can catch the ball. We don't have a guy that's going to be able to get it to them consistently. So we believe with the type of kids that we're going to have consistently in our program, option football is the way for us to go.
What's the highlight of practice this week? What didn't you like about that game?
Well, I didn't like the fact that we were down 16-0 at halftime. I didn't like the turnover on a play that looked like it was headed for 6 points of our own. Didn't like the punt return. We had some a miscue on that one where a gentleman didn't go to where he was supposed to go. And we had several miscues throughout the night, especially the first half. We just really struggled. I don't know if it was first game jitters, but we missed assignments, backs going the wrong way. So it didn't look too bad in live action, but when you break down the film and really see what was going on, we have a lot of ways in which we can improve.
JV teams in action today?
They are. They're playing Union County tonight out of the Spartan field.
What about a freshman team? Are you having a freshman team this year?
No, we're not. We have enough freshmen to have a freshman team, but we don't have enough sophomores and juniors that aren't already on the varsity squad to field a junior varsity team. So we do have some sophomores and juniors that will play junior varsity football for us, but we don't have those in large numbers. Those classes are pretty small.
Take a minute here to talk about some of the other things happening today, Monday, at CHS involved. The boys soccer varsity and junior varsity is playing Franklin County at Spartan Field. We mentioned the junior varsity team is hosting Union County in football. The girls varsity soccer will be at Delta High School, and JV and varsity volleyball with Anderson at the CHS gym. That's all today, Monday. On Tuesday, the boys soccer varsity and junior varsity will be at East Central. The girls golf team will be at Rushville, and the volleyball teams meet South Dearborn at the CHS gym. Wednesday, boys tennis, the Spartans meet Richmond on the CHS courts. On Thursday, boys tennis at Cambridge City Lincoln. Girls golf team and Centerville will be meeting here at Connorsville at the Country Club. Boys soccer, JV and varsity, they're in action at Greensburg on Thursday. On Friday, of course, it's the Spartans meeting the Franklin County Wildcats at Spartan Stadium. And Coach, that's cheerleader night and middle school football night. So what's going to happen?
Well, the cheerleader night, I know before the game, all the little girls have signed up, and they do a couple practices during the week, and then they come out and do a cheer for the crowd, and they're part of the tunnel that they make for the players to run through, and my girls have done it. And I think they're going to do it again this year, and they really enjoy it. And then middle school football night, they'll announce the middle school football players at halftime, and that's a nice thing for them in front of the home crowd.
That's a lot of fans in the stands, which is a good thing.
Yes, it brings in some fans that maybe normally wouldn't attend, and it gets our players, I think, feel like they're let them understand that they are part of the whole system.
It's important.
Yes.
On Saturday, the boys soccer will be hosting Union County at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Cross-country teams will be at Rushville for an invitational. That's coming up Saturday. The girls' golf will be at New Palestine. Girls' soccer will be meeting Union County at Connersville. That has a noon start. The volleyball teams will be at Batesville on Saturday. The middle school coach, football team, Wednesday, I believe. You're playing at Grandview School Field. Is that where the middle school football teams play?
They're practicing right now. They practice at Grandview, but their games are played out at the varsity field.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Good
sir.
deal. They played a couple of games already, haven't they?
They have.
How are they doing?
The 7th grade team is 2-0 at this point, and the 8th grade team is 0-2. But the 8th grade team has shown some improvement from last season. I think we have talent there. I think the kids are figuring out what that talent is, and the coaching staff is helping them figure out what their talents are. So I think they're going to be fine. They've been in the ball games. I know the first game that was a 30-6 or 30-8 outcome, but they shut them out in the second half. So it was all first half is when the opposition put up all their points, and then they shut them out. And then they lost last week to Richmond. I believe it was a 14-0 ball game. So. But the 7th grade has come away victorious in both of their contests. Good. And it's a good group of kids. The 8th grade group is a good group of kids, so is the 7th grade.
Okay, that's Wednesday at 5:30 at the CHS Field, Union County, and the 8th grade football team will be meeting. Today, the cross-country team is opening its season at Greensburg, and Thursday they'll be hosting St. Mary's from Rushville at 4:30. And let's see, tomorrow the volleyball team will be at Greensburg, and Seton Catholic will be at Connersville with a start time at 5:30 on Thursday. So a lot of sports going on.
Mm-hmm. Pretty active.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing. Keep the young people involved.
Talk about your coaching staff. I know you rely on these guys a lot.
I do, and they've done a fantastic job. Coach Ron Paxson has taken over our defensive coordinator position this season. Coach Orland Foster and Coach James P. and Coach Bob Myers are all part of the defensive staff.
Good.
And then offensively, myself, Jason Morris, and Adam Keene, along with Steve DeGroat, have really kind of taken over the offensive responsibilities. Coach Anthony Fox is helping us out as well. He's working with the offensive line. And does a fantastic job.
On the junior high level, who's coaching?
Coach Mitchell, who's our head coach, and there's a Coach Vessels who used to play for me, graduated in 2012. Mm-hmm. He just got a teaching job out at the high school, and he's part of the middle school staff. Jeremy Horn, who's also a teacher at the high school. Trying to think. Coach House, who's a new special ed teacher at the middle school.
Okay.
And his wife is Kelly, the track coach and former cross-country coach. So it's nice to get him on board. So we feel like we've got a pretty solid staff down at the middle school as well.
Yeah, you guys can fill a bus of coaches. I mean, you got a good group. Let's talk about a little bit about your opponents that are coming up, how they did in the opener. Okay, Franklin County won over Newcastle 54-35, and as you mentioned, Franklin County meets the Spartans this Friday at Spartan Field. On September 1st, Greensburg will be coming to Connersville, and they lost to Shelbyville 31-10. Any surprises there, Coach?
Not really. Franklin County's always typically has a really solid football team at the varsity level, and again, obviously they have that. They've got a lot of speed this year.
They've got a lot of offense, don't they?
Yeah, they do. The Orschel kid, he's a fantastic football player. He's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. He's their tailback / slot / kick returner. He plays corner on their defensive side, and he's pretty fun to watch play the game. And in Greensburg, I don't know what Shelbyville has. I know for the last 2-3 years they've been a really solid team. They've been highly ranked in Class 4A. So, and Greensburg, I know they had a solid season last year. They lost it. They graduated a few guys, but again, I know they're well coached, and their staff will get those guys at least competing at the highest level it's possible for them.
On September 8th, the Spartans will be going to Aurora to meet South Dearborn. They lost to Bedford North Lawrence 33-6. They're sort of a team that's been struggling, haven't they?
They have over the past few years. They hired a new coach. I don't know if it was before last season or the season before. So they've had I think since I've been in Connersville, this is their third coach. But it's Rand Ballard. He's the son of Coach Ballard that established East Central as the powerhouse that it is. So the guy obviously knows what it takes to build a program. So I think he's going to take his lumps for a while as he builds that thing up. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years if that thing is up and rolling.
Spartans will be playing on September 15th at Rushville, and they lost to Milan 52-27. On the 22nd, Indianapolis Broad Ripple will be coming to Connersville. They lost to Heritage Christian 60-0. That's another school that's sort of struggling, aren't they?
Yes, Broad Ripple. In fact, I believe they're closing Broad Ripple High School after this school year, which is a sad thing. We had them coming off our calendar anyways. We were replacing them with Jennings County. Next year, that'll be our Week 6 opponent. And Rushville, I expect Rushville to be really solid. Milan last year, I believe they lost in the regional. So they've had several years of good football. So I don't know what the film shows, you never know if maybe a guy was out that was sick, or a couple guys are out for injury, or you never know how that score was created. Maybe it's some I don't want to say garbage points at the end, but maybe there were a couple scores at the end once the game was already decided that made the score look unbalanced. But I expect Rushville to be one of the tougher opponents we play this year.
Always tough to go over there and play, too.
And we get to go there,
Yeah.
And the crowd's right on top of it.
Right there, yeah.
You can't hear anything.
On the 29th, you'll be going to East Central to play that squad, and they won over Lawrenceburg 15-14. Two top teams in the conference.
And two of the top teams in their classes. I would have loved to have been in the bleachers for that game. I bet that was a powerhouse type football game. I've seen a little bit of film on Lawrenceburg because they scrimmaged with Franklin County, and we were able to get that film. And they are big, and they are fast, and they are strong, and they are a good-looking football team. And East Central, of course, is typically a good-looking football team.
The Spartans fans will get a chance to see Lawrenceburg as they come to Connersville October the 6th. And on October the 13th, the regular season ends. We'll be at Batesville, and they won over Jennings County 49-24. So that's how the Spartans' remaining opponents all fared during their opening. So
those last three games, that's a tough way to finish the season out and prepare for a sectional. In the last couple of years, our kids haven't handled it real well. So I think, again, we saw Friday night the mentality that the group has that we have this year. So we expect to compete in every game that we play, and we expect to give ourselves an opportunity to win one way or the other.
They reshuffled the deck on sectional assignments, and we could see Richmond again.
We could, and there's some new additions, Mooresville and Beech Grove, and some unfamiliar opponents. Greenwood's in there, so we're watching them from afar and looking at how they're doing, and they all fared well this past weekend. So I like the fact that it may be an opportunity to play a different team that we don't typically see from our area. So, but like you said, we may end up with a Richmond. I think Newcastle dropped down, but we'll play whoever we draw, and we'll go from there.
Got a lot of football to play between now and then.
Yes, we do.
Well, Coach, if offense plays like they did, the defense plays like they did, special teams play like they did, I think you're going to be in every game.
I hope so, and that's the goal, obviously.
Sure. Three other area teams that we haven't talked about, and the Spartans don't play them. Cambridge City lost to Monroe Central 52-0. Centerville lost to Delta 39-7. Union County won over Oldenburg Academy 62-7. So a lot of football.
Sure is. Coming up Friday night when the Wildcats come to Spartan Field, a couple things to play for. First, it's a conference game, and the other thing is the water keg. So I know you'd like to have that water keg here at Connersville after Friday night.
Absolutely, and they've really put it on us the last couple of years. And I feel like going into this week, I was looking today. Their Sargon rating, they're number 10 in Class 4A. So it's not an easy feat. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be really aggressive. They don't have the size that they've had over the past couple seasons, but I've seen them bring in pretty small teams and really get after you. So we understand that we have our work cut out for us going in, or having them come to our place.
The EIAC is a tough football conference.
It is.
You know, we got 3A teams and 4A teams in it, and they don't figure into the mix, but still we play all of them, and
Right.
and they're tough.
Well, the last 2 seasons we've had a representative in the state championship game. And I don't know how many conferences can say that, but we had a 3A representative last year with Lawrenceburg, and we had a 4A representative the year before with East Central. And in fact, East Central was in the semi-state game this past year and lost to Ron Colley on a last-minute field goal, who went on to the state game and won state. So, you know, those 2 teams, and then Batesville has several sectional championships under its belt, and Greensburg has a few, and so they play pretty good football in this area. And I'm excited that we are a part of that, and it shows our kids and our community what that is supposed to look like. And so we're striving to get on the same level as those teams.
To win the conference, you only have to win 3 ball games because there are 4As.
Well, only 3 football games, but that's 2 of those ball games. One of them's Franklin County, and one of them's East Central.
And
so
one's Lawrenceburg. So
Lawrenceburg's actually falls into the 3A.
Oh, do they? Are they
yeah.
3? Oh, okay.
They
I was
are
thinking
there
they
in the
were
3A
4As.
squad.
South Dearborn's the other one, right?
South Dearborn's 4A. Okay.
So us, Franklin County, South Dearborn, and East Central are the 4A, and then Lawrenceburg, Batesville, Rushville, and Greensburg are the 3A class.
Okay.
But you want to win all of those.
Absolutely,
Yes.
we want to win
Whether
every
they're
game.
3A
we
or
play.
4A. So.
And in fact, the Batesville coach that retired last year, you know, he won the 3A, but he didn't beat East Central that year or whatever. And he said, you know what, thank you. I'm glad we won the 3A conference, but in my mind, we didn't win the conference because we didn't win against all of our conference opponents.
Sure.
So there's some, not that anybody's upset that there's a split, but you know, some of them have the mentality that the real championship is you got to win them all.
You had 24 returning players from last year, so you have a lot of new faces.
We do.
On your team.
We do, but the majority of our varsity kids are returnees. We lost a couple of defensive backs with Brady Gosnell and Sullenberger, who is a tremendous athlete.
Yes.
And Gosnell was a very good corner. So replacing those 2 is something that we've done okay with. They did a good job Friday night, so those 2 were tough to replace. And then we lost we lost 1 lineman. And 1 defensive lineman. So everybody else is back. So even though it's only 24 guys coming back, the majority of those 24 have varsity experience. And some of them, this is their 3rd year of playing varsity, like Foreman and Du Bois and some of those guys. So there's some guys with some snaps under their belt.
You got some great contributions from those 2 that you just mentioned on Friday night.
We did. They played a good ball game.
These young guys they don't start practicing just a month before the season begins. I mean, you start working these guys when the season ends, don't you?
Yes. This past couple years, I put it off until after the state game. Said, okay, we're going to give me a couple weeks to do inventory and all those types of things, and then that gives me about a week off. And then we hit the weight room right after that. So we don't give them, not that we're not giving them much time off, but we want to keep them active throughout the winter months. Obviously we don't do anything during Christmas break. We take that time off. And spring break we don't have anything. There might be a few kids that are like, hey coach, can you open up the weight room, and I'll go in and work out with them. And then we really start getting after it there in that mid-May time period when we're allowed to get back out on the field for the summer stuff.
Then you probably have some that are multi-sport athletes too. So
we do.
But that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeps them active.
I want our kids to wrestle, and I want our kids to play basketball, and I want our kids to run track, and I want them to experience high school and do every sport that they want to do. My son's going to be a 3-sport athlete, and it's enjoyable. You get to meet different types of kids, different types of coaches. You become a more well-rounded person, I think. And if that's the objective of high school athletics, then being a multi-sport athlete is important. And college recruiters ask, what else does he do?
Yes.
Well, he just does this. And they're not impressed by that. They want multi-sport athletes because, like I said, they've been exposed to a lot of different things. and not just from a physical standpoint, but a mental standpoint as well.
You mentioned your son Adam, who is a freshman, a quarterback. When did he start playing organized football?
When he was in third grade over in the Kansas City area.
You let him go to he was 9, huh?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, he was 3. I think he was 3 my first year teaching and coaching, and he's only missed one game that I've coached in all of those years. He's been on the sideline every time, and I forget why he had to miss the game that he missed, but he's rode every bus ride, and he's been a big part of our coaching staff.
It's fun to watch him grow up.
Yes.
Yeah, from the sideline.
Yes.
And we like him, and we think he's going to do a good job for us, and he knows his role is to get the ball to number 12, number 6, and number 15, and toss it out there every once in a while to number 1.
I thought maybe he carried a football home with him from the hospital when he was born.
Well, he had one pretty soon after he got home, for sure. But, I thought he was going to be more of a tight end, linebacker type guy, and at that third grade year, he said, "No, I want to play quarterback." And I was like, "Okay, if that's what you want to do." I didn't coach him. I've only coached him 1 year of his football years. I wanted to be a dad and let him enjoy and grow that way. We talk about it, obviously, quite a bit, and we will watch film, and I'll say, "Hey, come here and look at this." And we've done that throughout the years. But in terms of coaching him, I've tried to stay out of that and let him grow and be his own person.
But now you have that opportunity.
Now I have that opportunity, but in fact, I let Coach Morris really handle him more so than I do, and that way it keeps our relationship solid.
A little bit of separation at the supper table that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's hard because Coach Morris stepped in on Friday and he was calling the plays, and every once in a while I have to throw my 2 cents in and say, "Hey, nope, let's do this."
Yeah.
But Coach Morris is a fantastic coach and did a good job calling plays the other night.
Does the IHSAA control the off season to a degree?
It does, quite a bit. In the summertime, Sundays are always off limits, but in the summertime we're only allowed 12 days in pads, and only 5 of those days can be in competition. So if we want to go scrimmage, that counts as a competition day. We went to a camp for 2 days. Now we had multiple practices during the day, but that counts as each day counts as 1 day of competition. So, and we typically hit our 5. We find things throughout the summer and go ahead and we schedule in January, February what we're going to do during the summer. So we get 12 days in pads. 5 of those can be competition. So then we schedule practices throughout the summer where we go helmet and shoulder pads. You can't go full pads. You can just go helmet and shoulder pads.
Do you have to submit a schedule to the IHSAA or anything?
No, it's self-regulation.
I see.
I submit my schedule to the athletic director, and then he verifies. He checks with me, make sure that we're staying on schedule with what we're doing, and make sure that we stay within the IHSAA guidelines.
I know it's important for you as a coach that these young guys keep up their studies.
Yes, absolutely. Without the education part, most of the kids we have, or honestly all the kids we have, none of them are 5-star, 4-star, even 3, 2-star recruits or 1-star. We might have a couple of those. Most of our kids, if they go on to play college football, it's going to be at the NAI level, or Division II or Division III. And academics play a huge role in the recruiting process at those levels. It does at the highest level as well, but and there are a lot of kids that have lots of talent that don't get into those big schools that are 5A recruits. I've seen it happen several times. So the kids need to understand, and parents, I think, understand that the education part is always going to come first.
Coach, thanks for joining us. It's always happy to have you here, and when we can talk about a win, it's even extra special, Sam.
It certainly is, especially over Richmond.
That's right, especially against those Red Devils.
Adam Kelly is head football coach at CHS, has been our guest. Thanks, everybody, for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report.